Hello YouTube, it's Rob, Maxwells Grass Cutting Services, based in the northeast. Hope everybody's well and having a really good day. Today's video, need to change the way I work. We're coming to the end of the season. It's mid-October 2022, and before we know it, the season will be ended and we'll be going into winter work. But for me, it's time to sort of assess how this year's gone and how I move forward. And I've come up with a conclusion that large gardens aren't as profitable as small gardens. They're more wear and tear on your machines, they use more fuel and more wear and tear on your body. The small gardens, either your mow blow and goes or your 1 hour mow blow and then a little bit of maintenance and tickling the borders, that's where it's at. And I'd rather do 4 small gardens where you're in and out in 50 minutes an hour, nice and steady, and then travel between the gardens. Yes, they've got to be close by, than doing 4 hours in one big garden. You don't get the money for the 4 hours of the one big garden the same you do for the small gardens. And that was something that sort of I was switched onto this year. So next season I'm gonna have to let 4 or 5 big gardens go. And I know what you're thinking, Rob, that's a daft decision. We're going into a recession, you might not get the work to replace that. However, the council have made the decision for me, or they've made that decision making process far more easier. I'll explain with me, just bear with me. So I'm not daft, and I recognise that if I let go of some of these big gardens, I might not replace the work as quickly as I want. So what I've done is I put a advert on my Facebook page and an advert on my Google business page saying Maxwells Grass Cutting Services specialise in small and medium gardens, the ones that you think a professional wouldn't touch because they're just too small. And I put a little advert out. Have a look on my business page, my Facebook page, you'll see. And I've had about 6 or 7 calls. And I've got 2 gardens from that. The others are not back. The access was poor and the people I didn't like, and one was just, it was like starting afresh, and I wasn't prepared to break my back. So I've already got 2. And what I'll do is I'll do a bit of a tidy up once the season's finished, then I'll start again in the spring. Now, I know what you're going to say also, the big gardens give winter work. Well, some of these do, but some of these don't. And I cannot afford to keep these gardens on when I tell you in a minute what's happening in the northeast. So I'm confident that by losing my gardens, my big ones, I will replace them, and I will pick up small gardens which are a little bit easier to manage, and they all need to be close by, within a 5 to 10 minute drive. I'm stopping driving all the way over the northeast. Now, why has my decision been made so much easier? Well, Gateshead Council and Newcastle Council, both Labour councils, you think they'd be there for the working man. They're introducing, come January, a clean air tax in Newcastle. And basically what that means is if you drive over the Tyne Bridge or the Red Youth Bridge, they're the 2 main, or the high level bridge. There's 3 bridges that go into Newcastle and basically join the south of the River Tyne to the north, Gateshead and Newcastle. And if you drive over in a commercial vehicle, a van, it's 15 quid a pop. So if I've got 3 gardens in Wallsend and they're on the same estate, and the lovely people, I've been there, going there for years, but now I'm going to have to take into account it's 15 quid to get there and 15 quid to get back. It's not doable. I've got a lady in Morpeth, it's a 4 or 5 hour job every week, but now it's going to be 15 quid there, 15 quid back. And I know what you're saying, plug them all together, but if I did that, I'd be running all over the northeast. And it's just not making it financially viable. So I'm going to wait till the end of the season, and then I'm going to politely tell these customers, I'm sorry, can't look after your garden anymore. The clean air tax is, it doesn't make it financially viable anymore. And then I'm just going to stick to my gardens close by and build me round up again, build me customer base up again in surrounding Lowfell and the smaller, you know, the areas which are close by, the 5 minutes to 10 minutes from my home address. And yes, that might take half a season to pick it up, but I'm confident that I'll get there. The phones never stop this year, and I don't think it'll stop next year. Yes, I understand we're going into a bit of a recession and the fuel bills are going to be horrendous, and this government's making a right pig's ear of all the financial decisions and mortgages are going up. But I still think there's a need for gardeners and there's work for gardeners. And here in the northeast, I don't think there's lots of us about, because I get told every time I get a call and say, look, I'm really sorry, I can't take, there's nobody here, there's no gardeners. So I think there's a bit of a shortage, so I'm confident. And if I'm not, well, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, and I'll take on a bit more one-off work. But it's disappointing that our local councillors have done this. So their answer is, sell your van and buy an electric van. I've had a look, they started about 90 grand. Excuse me, absolutely ridiculous. Who can afford 90 grand on an electric van with about 160 kilometre range? It's just ridiculous. They're just killing the working man. And I don't talk politics, but they've annoyed me, and they've annoyed a lot of others. Imagine if you're a kitchen fitter and as the Newcastle city centre, it's well populated. Imagine if you said you wanted a joiner, you're going to have to pay a premium, because you're going to have to pay for the joiner or the plumber or everybody to come over the bridge, 15 quid, and come back 15 quid. And if they've got a slightly bigger van or slightly older van, it goes up with the amount of emissions that you release. Now, I'm all for cleaner air and looking after the environment, looking after the planet, but I just think that's a tax on the working man. They're just doing it to make a few quid, and it's wrong. Desperately wrong. But so it's forced me hand, really. And a lot of my larger gardens are outside of Lowfell and my surrounding area. So it's forced me hand, and I'm going to try and replace all them customers with smaller, manageable work in the local area and build that up. And fingers crossed, over time it'll be a little bit more profitable and it will work. It'll be sad to let some of the customers go, because you become friends with them, but it's business, and we've got to earn a living, and I can't afford to be paying 30 quid a day just to go over the bridge and back. Tell me, what would you do? Would you bite the bullet and continue, or would you do what I'm doing and sort of say, enough's enough, got to keep it south of the Tyne? Now, that's that. But I want to share this with you. At the weekend, I was in Dublin, just outside Dublin. Took a boxing team over there to a multi-nations tournament, and it was fantastic. The Irish people know how to treat you. It was lovely. The treat is amazing. In the hotel, on the night, we're just boxing the semi-finals, and it was a Saturday night. We were waiting to box in the finals on the Sunday night, Sunday before we flew home on Sunday evening. And we're sat having a few beers and chatting to a guy, and he says, where are you from? I said, I'm from Newcastle. He says, I'm from Derry. I said, I know Derry in Northern Ireland. He said, have you been? I said, no, I've never been. I said, but I follow a YouTuber called Jonny from Jonnys Garden Maintenance, and he's based in Derry, and he does videos of the city, panoramic views. And I said, it's lovely. I said, so when I say I know Derry, I've never been there, but I feel like I know it because you watch these videos. He says, the guy next to me is called Jonny, a different Jonny. He's called Jonny Kelly from JK Landscapes, and he's a friend of Jonny from Jonnys Garden Maintenance. So Jonny Kelly says, it's Rob from Maxwells, isn't it? I says, yeah. He said, I watch your videos. I went, shush, man, shush. I said, the people I'm with don't have to do videos. So he shook my hand and he says, I had to take on some water. I've got a bit of a cold, come back from Ireland. Where was I? So I'm talking to Jonny Kelly, who tells me that he's a friend of Jonny's from Jonnys Garden Maintenance. The Guinness is flowing nicely. We're putting the world to rights. Next thing I know, he says, I've got Jonny on the phone, Jonny from Jonnys Garden Maintenance. We get him out of his bed. It's probably midnight by then. We had a bit of a chat, and we said hello, and it was lovely. And so all I'd say is thank to Johnny Kelly from LA. I'm going to get this right. Johnny Kelly from JK Landscapes in Derry. It was lovely to meet you, Johnny, and all the best to you. Thanks very much for your hospitality and all your kindness. YouTube, it's a small world, and it's a good one, isn't it, when you meet people, like-minded people, and they're very kind. So that's that today. Final point. I've been asked by loads of people, am I going to Soltex this year? The answer, no. Reason why? I've got work booked in, and it's a busy period. We're struggling in the northeast to get 4 weeks work because of all the rain. It's been horrendous, so I'm working a little bit behind, and I haven't planned it well, so I'm working that week. However, next year I plan to put a bit of a window in my diary so I can get there and maybe have a little bit of a meet up and say hello to a few people. But this year it's a no, sorry. You'll have to forgive me. I haven't got COVID. I've tested myself, but I've come back from Dublin with a bit of a cold and a cough, and I don't know, winter flu. But hey, we'll get over it. But thanks for watching today. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. And remember, when the green gold's growing, keep mowing. Take care.